Welcome to The Shed Wireless, a podcast for shedders, hosted by John Paul Young and produced by the Australian Men's Shed Association.
Yeah, there's something for you at the Men's Shed.
Hello and welcome back to the Shed Wireless podcast, made in Australia and distributed all over the world. Men's Shed Week runs from the 8th to the 13th of September, so today we have a special episode. This year's theme for Men's Shed Week is Building Healthy Communities, highlighting the vital role sheds play at the heart of their towns and suburbs. As shedders, you know that men's sheds don't just build community within their own walls. They take their skills and spirit to the wider community, supporting local charities, lending a hand to neighbours, and tackling projects that make a real difference. In today's episode, our special guest today is Federal MP and five-time Olympian Dan Repacholi, who was recently appointed Australia's first Special Envoy for Men's Health. We discuss everything from routine checkups to how men's sheds are part of the solution for a healthier, more connected Australia. And we've got a ripper on the tools. I met some blokes from the Goat Shed who repair pinball machines. Oh, it's fantastic. They're great guys. Our shed in the spotlight is the Point Nepean men's shed, and Terry is here to talk to us about all the wonderful things they're doing in their local community, including, this is really inspirational, how they started hosting the Umbrella Dementia Cafes in their shed. We're on the road with Bill McGee from the Mannum men's shed on the Murray River in South Australia, where they still have the old paddle steamers. What an interesting chat that one is. And finally, in Nailed It, Rip is giving us his spin on how our sheds create community and why that's so important. Okay, so let's get into today's Shed Wireless. I'm here with Dan Repacholi, and first of all, Dan, congratulations on your re-election.
Cheers, John. It's a pleasure to be gainfully employed for hopefully 3 more years.
Yes, indeed. And also your new appointment, which is Envoy for Men's Health?
Yeah, Special Envoy for Men's Health. So it's I'm glad and proud of the Albanese Labor government that they've actually put some focus on men's health, and they've employed really someone to go and talk about men's health, which is a great thing. And whether it was me or somebody else, it didn't matter. I think it's fantastic that we've got the Special Envoy for Men's Health out there talking about the unique issues that we have as males, because we're not good at talking about our feelings. We're not good at going to see doctors, and we really need to be better at that.
Now, this Envoy for Men's Health, was that something that you knew was in the wind anyway, or was it a surprise appointment?
Certainly it was a surprise appointment. I'd done a fair bit of work around men's health in the past 3 years, so it was definitely a focus of mine and a passion of mine. But it was definitely a surprise because there had never been a Special Envoy for Men's Health in any previous governments. So to have that now and to have something that we can get out there, talk about our unique challenges as blokes, and just get out and talk to blokes and have really front and centre discussions about our health, about how we need to get better at going and seeing doctors and just going and getting a checkup. Making sure that we're getting a blood test once a year. Most blokes won't even go do that.
I was surprised about that. And also going back to old Joe Biden, when I learned that he hadn't had a PSA test for something like 3 or 4 years. And he was the President of the United States.
This is where we need to make sure as blokes we're going and getting these checkups done. Instead of just sitting at home and complaining to our partners, our kids, that there's something wrong. Most blokes will take 7 days to go see a doctor if there's something wrong with them. And then 1 in 3 will take 4 weeks of symptoms of something until they actually go and make that appointment to go see a doctor. And we need to get better. Women, the amazing women in our lives, our daughters, our wives, our friends, they're really, really good at going and seeing doctors and talking about their issues with their friends. Where we're not that good at this, John, and we need to get better. And that's what a great thing about Men's Shed is that they do this.
Yes.
They create that platform for blokes to talk about bloke stuff.
Yes, I was going to mention that. You know, the Australian Men's Shed Association must be a good place for you to be able to get your message out.
Certainly is, and I can talk to a large group of men at once, all around a similar age bracket, that have all either going through into retirement or getting ready to be into retirement, and that aren't always talking about their issues, that aren't always going and seeing doctors. And quite often older men are a bit better at going to see doctors. Quite often when they are talking in groups with each other as well, they don't always have the right information. Mm-hmm. So if they can go see their GP, actually have the conversation with them, what is wrong with them. Because women are great at this. Women will go to their GP and tell their GP what is wrong with them because they are in tune with themselves, and it makes it very easy for the GP. But when we go in to see the doctor, there's something wrong with me. What's wrong with you? I don't know. I just don't feel well, or this or that.
Yeah.
And the first thing straight away is we need to get a blood test. We need to go get a blood test done. We should be having that every year. Or blokes, as we're blokes, we'll get our cars serviced every year. If you haven't done your 10,000 kilometres or so, we'll get our car serviced, but we won't service ourselves. We need to make sure we're doing that, and we just need to just have normal conversations around our health issues,
right?
And make sure that these are normal conversations so that you can have them with any bloke at any time.
All right. Now, I know you're new in the job. Is there any particular strategies that you have in mind, to get this message across?
So conversations, straight up, it's just starting with conversations, just talking, going around and seeing men's groups. Mm-hmm. And if we can see a men's group and there's 100 people in it, if 2 people actually go and make an appointment to go see their doctor and get a blood test done, I think that's amazing. That's 2 people that had not have done that beforehand, before having that conversation. So if we can just get one person, anyone that we can change, and that one person actually goes to the doctor, they may have nothing wrong with them, but they may have something wrong with them as well. And then they can go and talk to one of their other mates, and their other mates can talk to another mate. Just getting the conversation free-flowing and just pulling that stigma away from blokes having conversations about things to do with their health.
Yeah. I've got to say congratulations on your Olympic prowess. You've been to 4 Olympics.
5, actually. 5, yes. So I've gone okay there, but I'm done with that now. That's all over now. Uh-huh. Yes, so which is all right. But I've been lucky enough to travel the world in a sport I love, which is predominantly done by men and blokes. There is plenty of women too, but predominantly is a male sport. And I've seen both sides of it there, because in sport we need to be performing at the best we can, and to do that we need to talk to people, because in the sport that I do, and any sport you do at a higher level, once you've got to the highest point of that sport, it all comes down to what's happening in between your ears.
You've been to my hometown, Glasgow.
I've been to Glasgow, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I won a gold medal and a bronze medal at Glasgow Games in 2014.
I thought the biggest sport in Glasgow was headbutting.
That's it, after the pub. Yeah, that's right. That was a good place.
That's fantastic. You started your apprenticeship as a fitter.
Yeah, fitter. Started at 15.
At 15. Now, that, I don't know, maybe my instincts are wrong, but that tells me you might have been a troubled child.
Well, school, I wasn't the greatest at school. I enjoyed maths, science, PE, woodwork, metalwork. Yeah. I enjoyed those ones, but anything to do with English, history, social stuff really wasn't my cup of tea. So I would say in those classes, I definitely wasn't the best student. But in the other classes, I did enjoy them and did very, very well in those as well.
So when did you leave? Third year high school, was it?
So end of year 9 or start of year 10 there. Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah. So yes, yeah. And I knew what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a fitter. I wanted to do things with my hands. I knew that. I used to go and do work experience.
Yep.
Where I was from when I was 11 years of age, where I did my apprenticeship.
And where was that?
At D&H Rodwell Tooling, which is down in Victoria. Just a small team of people, and I shot with them and knew them through pistol shooting.
What town? Sorry.
Clarkfield. It was in, yes. So it was just in the back of.
I don't know Clarkfield at all.
No, so it's in between Romsey and Sunbury in Victoria.
Oh, Sunbury.
Yeah. So
now
it's in between there.
Yep.
So it was cold, bloody freezing. Right. It was, yeah. And we're just in the back of tin sheds there on the farm, and doing a lot of work. We're automation specialists, so we did a lot of stuff for Ford and Toyota, and a lot of the maintenance for Ford and Toyota for their manufacturing line.
I think that's the great thing about what's happened to you is that you knew what you wanted to do, and I think that's the biggest problem with a lot of kids these days, not knowing what direction they want to go in.
Yeah, that's right. You're exactly right there, John. And I think that in schools we do Science Week and that sort of stuff. We do all this really good stuff there. I think we need to do Careers Week, but do it from year 7. Do it early on the piece, not just wait till they're in year 10 to go do work experience, but actually have the conversation and get the careers of all the different trades, the fireys, all the different services in, the nurses in, to come and talk to kids at a younger age, from year 7 on. I'm a firm believer of that, because that then can plant how they want to go through their schooling life into that high school as well, of what direction they want to go in.
Yeah.
And it's changing now as to when I was at school. So it's definitely changing, as you can do lots more courses based in the direction you want to go, and it can help take off some of the time you have to have in uni, or some of the time you have to have in TAFE with these courses.
Now, you were born in Carlton in Victoria.
Yep, Carlton, Victoria, yes.
You're still not a fan of the football team, are you?
No, definitely not. I'm a Western Bulldog supporter, and Carlton are having a rough trot right now.
They're having a terrible time.
So, yeah, they certainly are. But the doggies are going all right. They'll hopefully get into the finals and seeing what we can do. So
what's in the immediate future for you now?
So immediate future, we get back to Parliament shortly. Yep. So we'll be having our normal sitting weeks at the end of the year, but continually out there talking on men's health issues and making sure people are just getting the message across that seeing your doctor is normal, getting out and having those conversations, and also working with a lot of groups in schools about the right level of masculinity in young boys. Because if we can get onto that early in the piece, it stops a lot of the issues later on in life. So if we can start those conversations early and teach them what is right and what is wrong in these situations, and how to respect women, partners, friends in their lives, pretty much everyone, how to just show respect for people. That is a great thing. And I think that we need to do a lot of work there as well. And we'll continue to work in that space as well over time to make sure that we can have a beautiful community.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Dan. It's been very informative indeed. And everybody out there, if you are a bloke and you have a problem, go and see your doctor.
Exactly right, John. Get out there, see your doctor, have the conversation, and don't just go to the doctor and say, oh, I've got this rash on my leg that I want to talk to you about that only happened the day before you got to the doctor. You tell them the reason why you're really there, and actually have those proper conversations. Yeah, I'm sure there's been something that you've been saying to your wife, your partner, or your daughter or your kids, and saying that there's something wrong here, and they've pushing you to go to the doctor. Go to the doctor and tell the doctor what your issues are, because it makes the doctor's job so much easier along the way as well, and it gets you the healthcare you need so they can make really informed decisions.
Dan Repacholi, thank you so very, very much.
Thank you very much.
On the tools, on the Shed Wireless, with John Paul Young.
I'm here today in a different kind of shed. This is what is called the Goat Shed.
The Goat Shed.
And we're in the back blocks of Glendale in the suburbs of Newcastle. I'm here with Kim and Graham and Kyle, and their job is fixing and renovating pinball machines. Welcome, boys. Welcome to the
thank you, John.
to the podcast. Now, this is really unusual. I mean, I'm sure that all the blokes out there involved in the men's shed would be very familiar with their teenage days of playing pinnies. It's great to see that they're here and you guys are keeping the whole thing alive. How did you get into it?
Well, I got into it years ago. Like, I used to play pinball machines in my youth back in the mid-60s when I was just a little bloke. And everyone will play sport. Well, I used to go play the pinball machines. I was a bit of a degenerate, I suppose. And I remember, we'd go down to play footy, and for practice, and I'd sneak off and play the pinball machines across the road. I moved on, and then back in 1985, I ended up buying a pinball machine. Because I got out of it for a while, because once I stopped having the mechanicals, I just sort of lost the interest in them. Because I like the old ding-dings and all that, and all the reels kicking over. And when they became electronic, they just didn't have the same feel about them.
No.
And so I bought an old machine in 85, and it started in that, kept getting them. Like, I think I was a bit like Kyle over here. In the first year, I bought about 10 to 12 machines. And they were very, very cheap back then. Like, you buy a whole pinball machine for $50 back then.
Gee.
And the way that I saw it is that you could not get parts at all. I was lucky to get rubbers. And so I would buy a machine. I'd probably put about a week's worth of work into it. And if it didn't look like nothing was going to happen, well, I just wreck it for parts. Unfortunately, a lot of people would be going, oh, no, but it's just what you had to do back then.
So you basically learned on the job?
Yes.
Trial and error?
Yeah, trial and error. Whereas, like, problems back then, it would take me a fortnight to fix. Like, we could just knock it over in half an hour now, no worries. But it was good. You had to do it. And because you got the passion, you learnt. Like, if you thought to yourself, oh, well, I'm going to fix pinball machines and make a bucket load of money, it's not going to happen. You got to enjoy it. We come down every day except Sunday, and we enjoy it. But after lunchtime, we're just about over it because, we don't want to make it a job. And so it's just a hobby. And things progressed. And I used to be a linesman for the Elcom. And I had to leave there back in 1990 because I got crook with my kidneys. And I was on a kidney machine and everything else, and I was pretty bad. I got a kidney transplant eventually. And then I got back into pinball machines and was looking around, and another local guy got my number from somewhere, and we went out fixing pinball machines because he was interested in late old model stuff too. And so we went out. He was 10 years older than me, so he'd been doing it a bit, but he didn't know a great deal, but I didn't know a great deal either. And so for 10 years roughly, we went out nearly every day, buying pinball machines, fixing pinball machines and learning off each other. Like, he would learn off me and I would learn off him. And eventually he got a bit over it, and he gave me a lot of his parts. And then I just come back here and on my own, just fixing machines every now and then for people. And didn't even think that I would make money off it or anything, just get paid and that. And I enjoyed it, and I still got a bit over it sometimes, and that's why you come down here, you do a couple of hours, and you think about it. Eventually, I met Kim. Kim come along in, what year was that, Kim?
2013 was the first year I met you.
Yeah, as Kim will tell you, he retired and he was looking for something to do.
And Kim, you were a typewriter mechanic.
That's correct, John. Yes, I spent 45 years in the office machine industry.
Right.
Of course, typewriters became redundant, and I worked for the same company for 40 years, which is quite unusual in this day and age, and I owned that company for the last 12 years of my working life. And when I decided to retire, I needed a hobby, and I was looking at building a model railway. Mm-hmm. I thought that would be something good to keep me occupied, and anyway, as it turned out, that didn't happen. A friend of mine asked me to look at his pinball machine one day, and I said, I know how to play them. I don't know how to fix them, I'm sorry. And I walked away. Anyway, he couldn't find anyone to fix them, because pinball mechanics, as we call ourselves, are in very short supply. So anyway, I had a look at his machine, and then I inquired, and I heard about Graham. I was told about Graham.
And you met me at
I met him at the pinball festival, which originally was at Caves Beach. And
the pinball festival.
Yeah, Pinfest.
Yeah,
right.
Run by the Newcastle Pinball Association.
Does that still go to this day?
Yes, it'll be on again in September 20 and 21st at Club Macquarie at Argenton.
Right.
Yeah.
So
this will be its 14th year.
Yeah, it's been going a long time.
Yeah.
Longest running pinball
in Australia
show in Australia.
Yeah.
Here in Newcastle, because what a lot of people don't realise is that back in the day, the people that put the pinball machines into all the arcades and milk bars and fish and chip shops were a company called A. Hankin and Company, and another company called Newcastle Amusements Distributing, which is owned by the Payton family. And oddly enough, both those companies still exist today, but they went in different directions: pool tables and video jukeboxes. Uh-huh. But Hankins actually made their own pinball machines.
They did. 5 different models they made in the late 70s.
And what were they? Were they copies of American jobs, or did
actually they were original designs, but they pinched a little bit off a playfield of other machines. So, but they did have like their own machine sort of thing. But they were very popular. But the trouble with what happened was at the same time they were bringing out video games. And so, like Space Invaders and Pac-Man, they sort of took over. And what happened was people would be going to an arcade and they see a brand new, sit-down cocktail video game. They see a pinball machine. Oh, no, we're going to play the cocktail machine. And so the pinball actually died. Pinballs died for about 3 or 4 years. And they eventually come back in 1985, which was the same time I bought one. So very bit of coincidence. Yeah. And so, I used to go to Hankins back in the old days, and actually came fourth in a pinball contest back in 1978. And I went in and toured Hankins back then, and it was fantastic, unbelievable. Oh. And that really got me going.
You're a kid in a pinball factory.
Yeah, kid in a pinball factory, and it was fantastic.
Hey, Kyle, you're just a pindy tragic.
Yeah, so I guess what happened with me was when I was 10 years old, I'd go into a fish and chip shop and I'd see a brand new Playboy, being a young man, and Playboy machine, and then I'd see a Firepower, and then I'd see an electromechanical. And those electromechanicals were probably never really serviced at that stage, so I used to completely ignore them, and I'd go straight to the solid state. So that was virtually me growing up. But I've collected a couple of machines, and one of them was an old pro football. And I had a party for a State of Origin, and a guy said to me, "Does that machine work?" And I thought, "No, it doesn't, but I'm an electrician. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get it going again." And then I saw this YouTube trying to work out how to stop the score motor from spinning, and I saw Kim and Graham. And as Kim normally starts off his videos with, we're from Newcastle. And I thought, "Oh, you beauty. Let's see if I can get hold of him." So I've come around here and sat down and had a cup of coffee and just spoke with them. And they said, "Yeah, we can fix your machine." And me being inquisitive just went, "Well, is there any chance I can watch you do it or help?" And I've never left. So that's just over
I still can't get rid of him.
I'm 12 months later and they can't get rid of me. But to be quite honest, you could never ask for two better mentors. Two different, completely different personalities.
Who's the good one?
Graham's the good one. Kim's the evil one. You've always got to have a good and an evil.
Absolutely, without question.
With Graham, it's, no worries. With Kim, it's like, what the hell you think you're doing? And you've got to do it this way, which you need that as well. He's absolutely amazing on step units, which are a pretty big part of the game. And being completely electromechanical, they're such an incredible wonder to work on, and for me, really enjoyable.
Oh, they're absolutely amazing. I mean, as soon as you lift that thing up, what do you call it?
The playfield.
And you have a look underneath there, and we're sitting in a room at the moment that's, with probably 6 or 8 pinball machines in various states of undress. It really is quite bamboozling for the layman, So
the little people lift up the playfield and put it straight back down.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, I first started playing pinball machine in 1963. I was 10-year-old, and you used to know the fellow used to come and clear the money out of them on a Wednesday afternoon. And as time progressed, and you went to high school, and they had sport on, you'd always go to the shop. When I grew up in Lambton, and the guy had come in and he'd clear the machine and lift it all up, and you'd look, wow, look at that. You know? So, here you are 50 years later, you'd never dreamed that you'd become a pinball mechanic. And it's really cool.
Well, I couldn't imagine in my wildest dreams. Fixed machines, and I could no one.
Where did you get the money from when you were kids to continue it? Because you must have played a lot.
Oh, the thing was, back then...
Did you go collecting empty bottles and stuff?
Yes, we did that, yeah. But... I remember, I used to go down to the local milk bar back in the early 70s, and Mum would give me 20 cents, 30 cents. The thing was, you had to be good, because if you're down to your last 10 cents and you're on your last ball and you need just say 100 points to get a free game, if you didn't get, you're going home. And that was it. Mum would say, "How come you're home? You only went for an hour." I said, "Oh, it's not good." But sometimes you'd stay there all afternoon for about 3 or 4 hours, and you come home happy, you're smiling, and you'd be laughing. You'd be great afternoon.
I was just speaking to our local member Dan Repacholi, and I was relating to him that now that I have a machine, and you have a machine. And, of course, you don't have to pay for the game.
No.
But when you get a free game, you still get a big thrill.
Yeah, you do. You
that noise is...
You've got to get that.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It's just incredible. It never leaves you.
Graham and I were just talking yesterday, this game we're working on at the moment, Gottlieb's Bronco. It's got a big light at the top. You can get the specials.
Yeah.
And it's a big diameter light,
big red light.
It lights a big red, and as a kid you aspired to get that. And as you just said, when you hear that thwack replay,
you think you've achieved something.
Yeah, you've really achieved something.
It's good when you've got a machine now, but when you're a kid, you think, and you get 3 or 4 games, you think, 3 or 4 games, that's each game's worth 5 cents.
Well, the funny thing, when I first started playing the machines, I mentioned in '63, it was sixpence.
Yeah.
So we didn't go to decimal currency till February 14th, 1966.
Yeah.
And then I think the pinball machines were largely 5 cents most of the time.
And like I even see places back then that you put 10 cents and you get 3 credits for,
sure.
for 10 cents.
Yeah, right.
It was amazing. So it was good, cheap entertainment for kids. And that's basically what it was.
And what you're doing now, there's plenty of work?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, look, we've never been busier.
Yeah.
And we're only hobbyists, and that's what we tell everyone. We're not a business. It's just our hobby, but our hobby extends to helping other people. And we love the joy of people seeing their new machine. Oh, I didn't know that you could get a free ball, because it wasn't working.
It's never worked, and they never know.
And there's nothing better. And when we have this Pin Fest on, I mean, it's more about the modern machines, but there are some old ones there. And young kids that have never seen an electromechanical pinball machine, their eyes light up, ding, ding. And
yeah, they get really interact with it, because the new ones now is just like playing a big computer.
Right.
And then I just like to see the young kids, it's probably especially under 10 years old, that wouldn't have experienced that before. And sometimes they fire at the ball. They don't know what's going on, but it's good, because on the old ones, all you got to do is just basically hit A, B, C, something like that, get the targets down, you know what you're doing. With the new ones, they're good games, but they're just so complex that I think of it like when you play pinball machine when you're a kid, you just turn the brain off. Whereas the late modern ones now, you've got to think. That's what I think. But you should be enjoying it. You shouldn't think too much. Just think, I've got to hit that.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Whereas these new ones, all you got to do is just hit the flashing light.
the rule sets on the new ones are so deep.
Well, I know people that have had late model machines in the house for 2 years and they still don't know the rules.
That's a possibility.
Yeah.
But pinball worldwide is alive and well. I mean, we have our own Facebook group. We've got over 5,000 members.
Wow.
We have our own YouTube channel, which we've got about 3,000 odd subscribers.
We've got over 300 videos.
Yeah, we have mainly on repair.
You just did all that yourself?
Yes. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we just use a mobile phone, and we've got a wireless microphones now, and we just record and we put it on that. So that's called the Goat Shed EM Pinball Repair Specialists on both YouTube and Facebook. If anyone wants to have a look and be bored for half an hour.
But if you've got a pinball machine that you haven't been trying to fix and just say it needs a stepper, you can just put in whatever it is. That's just a ball count stepper or a bonus unit stepper, and a video will come up, and Kim and me explain it, and we strip it right down to nothing and explain how to put it back together and any new parts you've got to put into it. So a lot of people have benefited from it, which is good.
We're actually known worldwide. We've got a large following of people in the United States where pinball is absolutely huge.
Really?
Yeah. Well, the three big manufacturers came from America, from Chicago, Illinois.
Yep.
So you had Gottlieb, who were the kings of pinball for many years, Williams and Bally. They were all made within a couple of miles. Factories were all within a couple of miles from each other. And then you had a couple of other smaller people, Chicago Coin or Chicago Dynamic Industries. They were in the Chicago area.
But everyone knew everyone.
Yeah, they did.
They'd all drink at the same bar.
And now we've got a Pope from Chicago. Well, listen, guys, thank you very, very much. It's been really informative, and I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there that you've brought some memories back to, and if by any chance some of them do have a pinball machine that's stuck in the corner they haven't touched for a while, now they know where to come. Come to the Goat Shed.
Well, if any of your members want to come and have a look and see what we do, they're more than welcome.
It's a very open shed. Anyone can come out and have a look.
Oh, well, that's fabulous. We'll put that on, and we'll let people know where you are, and if they want to pop in, it's certainly an education just looking at the stuff. It's fantastic. Thanks again, guys.
Thanks,
John.
If you'd like to find out more about the Goat Shed and see some photos of the pinball machines, head over to the Shed online blog on the AMSA website. What wonderful blokes they were.
Shed in the spotlight, putting the focus on the Shed to find out what they get up to.
Okay, Terry, now the Umbrella Dementia Cafes team, that sounds very interesting.
Yes, yes, we actually had a fundraiser last year for them and raised a bit of a stand-up comedy night for them. And And it's just good. They decided we raised a lot of money for them, which is great. And then they decided they needed somewhere a little bigger to actually have the cafes. We said, well, we've got the hangar that's overlooking the bay there. We've got perfect location, and we could accommodate them if they would like to join us.
So tell me exactly, what is it?
Okay, it's basically it's looking after families living with dementia. The caregiver and the person with dementia comes into the building. They're just for a 2-hour session where they can play games, where the carers have a chat and discuss problems they may have. It's really looking after those families, giving them a bit of respite. For 2 hours every fortnight. Quite an eye-opener for people without dementia like myself that volunteered to go along, just to have a look. It's a wonderful thing these volunteers are doing.
Yeah, it's a wonderful innovation. How did it come about?
It's basically, we just, like I said, with the fundraiser, we were approached by one of the ladies down here who seems to be involved in so many different charities, and we had the CEO came down from the Umbrella Cafes group, and she gave a speech, and we all sat back and were just blown away by what these young people were doing for our community on the peninsula. And we couldn't help but say, yes, please, we'd love to help you. And it's basically all we did was just say, well, you can have Monday, you can have the whole building to yourself to run the cafes, and they just leapt at the opportunity.
That's fabulous. It's such an amazing thing. Men's sheds are known for helping the community, but this is straight out of left field, this one.
It certainly was. We had no idea it was going to happen, but boy, did it take off. We've had 2 sessions so far, and the families have been delighted. We have one man who just comes down to watch the ferry come from Queenscliff to Sorrento every hour, and he just sits on the bench and watches the boats coming and going. But he's happy for 2 hours.
Yeah, the water has an amazing calming influence on people.
Yeah, and it's a day like today. It'd be actually glorious out there because we've got what we have is the old hangar, which used to be the Southern Rescue's helicopter base, but they've moved to a boat rather than an aircraft. And we can open the doors for the hangar, and we've got $1 million view over the bay. A day like today would be sensational.
It sounds fabulous. So how many people actually involved in the men's shed are involved in the cafe?
As many as they'd like, because it was really an open invitation to us to, if anybody would like to come along and sit in on the cafes. And so far, none of our members we do have several members with dementia, but they haven't joined the cafe yet. These are local families, which... and the guys are still capable and still resisting the fact that they don't have dementia, even though they very obviously have.
Right, I see. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with people who find it difficult to accept?
Yeah, it's gradual. It's very gradual. We've noticed that they deny it to the nth degree initially, but eventually I think their partners end up sort of just saying, "Look, you've got to do something about this," and then they go to the doctors, get a diagnosis. But we try not to stress the fact we've got one man who's he always wants to help in any project we're doing. We never turn him away. Mm-hmm. And we'd have to undo some of the work he's done when he's gone, because but it's just he's happy. We're happy because we see him engaged in the community.
That is so commendable.
It's the guys down here are wonderful. When the shed was created, we were told there was no need for one down here, and it just we just sat back. We did a quick survey around locally, and next thing we've got over 100 members now, over 70 female members, and it's a great community. And the cafe was just it's just the next step in our involvement.
It's just wonderful to hear these things, because the men's shed started from such small beginnings, and just to hear about them branching out into all manner of different areas, in community is just fabulous.
Yes, we get engaged. We started off with just the local primary schools, doing little bits for them. Then they told other people. Then we do all sorts of things. We get called into to do all sorts. One of the best ones we ever did was the NAB bank closed in Sorrento, and we were asked if we could go in and clean up. Next year, we had guys dressed in balaclavas trying to break into the vaults, and so we turned into entertainment for the community for the few days we were there. I think they found about $2 in loose change.
Tell me about your environmental aids with the hooded plover shelters.
Yes, so that was another one where the local school said, could the men come into a school and help the kids make these plover shelters? They down on the beach here, they're crazy birds. They nest right on the shoreline, right on the high water line, and they're exposed to all the predators that in the area. And these little shelters, the kids were wonderful. They just made them. They're just little A-frames, very simple. But we had a lot of fun working with the kids. And Parks Victoria came and collected them, and they're delighted. And now we do it every year. We make more for them because, unfortunately, with the bad weather, they get washed away or taken. I don't know what people do with them, but it's so simple. But it's the most entertaining. It's watching because it's a mixed school, so we get the primary school. The girls and the boys are there, and the boys are sort of fiddling around with the drills and everything, and the girls just get on with it. Very precise, very exact, and it's fascinating to watch the two sets. But and every year the Parks Victoria take as many as we can provide, and we just go off and buy the timber and get the kids to make them
because they are a very endangered species, and the fact that they only live in southern New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia.
Yes, tiny little birds and very vulnerable. The habitat is just has always been, even without sort of human intervention, it's always been vulnerable to the weather.
The Rye Primary Bike Maintenance Program also rears its head.
Yes, that was one of our members decided that he thought it'd be a good idea if the kids learned how to take bikes apart and how to rebuild them. And that's now been going for 6 years, I think. And again, it's just ongoing. Proudly sponsored by the Mornington Peninsula Shire. They give us a grant each year for materials. The guys just go along and the school selects the students to take part. They always seem to be the most difficult students in the class.
Oh,
but funny about that. But in normal classes, but when it comes to the bike maintenance, they just change. They just get involved. They love what they're doing, and every year, and then they rebuild these bikes. They're just some amazing bikes they put together, and they're given back to charity in Melbourne to give to disadvantaged families.
Oh, that's great. Well, of course, it gives them a sense of achievement.
Yes, yeah. They're very proud. At the end of the year, they're very proud to have their photographs taken with their bikes. So.
Now, another thing you do is buddy benches, which I think is a wonderful innovation. Tell me about them.
Yes, we first heard about them, where the bench is supposed to be there for someone who's feeling a bit disconnected with the school or with their friends. They could sit on the bench, and that's an indication that they're in trouble, or they'd like a bit of company or someone to talk to without causing any grief. And they're just amazing because and it's so successful. And now it's introduced a little partnership program at one of the local primary schools because they said, well, now we'll have a year 6 person will look after all the preps. So they've allocated one of each of the new starters. And those benches, and again, the men love making them. Again, it was entertaining for our men because we hadn't done anything like that before. It was nice watching them make them. We made a few mistakes in the workshop, so the final version that got to the school, sometimes didn't bear any resemblance to what we had done first up, because we thought, but it's hilarious because we're people like myself who come from an office background, and so woodworking and alien to us. But we all pitched in. It's so successful now that I've got to go again today to talk to another primary school that's further down the road, which would like some buddy benches put in. They've seen them, and they just like they're very solid. They're not going to go anywhere. The guys really made a wonderful design. It takes a bit of lifting to get it into the ground, but
almost theft proof.
Yes, because I'd love to beat the people who steal them. If they'd have to have a big, strong group, a very good trailer, and
the wicking boxes. I don't know what a wicking box is.
Okay, so it's a little garden box, which you put the lower part of the box and you put water goes into the gravel. Above that, there's this weed mat that goes on the top. Then you put the soil into the top. So the idea is that the water underneath attracts the plants to go searching for the water down below them. Mm-hmm. And it's very handy to have at the schools where the kids can come around to the edges. They put in all sorts of different plants in there. They've proven very successful. It's all part of sustainability programs that they run. And it teaches children a lot about gardening and what grows and what shouldn't grow together. And again, we've got making 4 more the next few weeks. We've got the materials, and again, got the backing of the Shire with the grant, and the schools, we can give them to the schools, and they don't have to worry about building a permanent garden bed.
Well, Terry, thank you so much for your chat. It warms my heart to hear that, what men's sheds are doing in the community, and especially down there, you really are branching out into areas that I never even thought possible, especially with the Dementia Cafe. It sounds really exciting.
Yes, it's definitely a very exciting event for us, and we can just see the value already. To 5 families have taken off the waiting list now. They can come to the cafe because they can accommodate them with the room. Yes, in 12 months' time, it'll be well established. Who knows where will develop to.
Thank you very much, Terry.
Thank you, John.
Okay, bye-bye.
On the road, on the Shed Wireless.
We head down the road to talk to Bill McGee from the Mannum Men's Shed in South Australia. Hi, Bill.
Hi, John. How are you?
Tell me a bit about the Mannum Men's Shed, Bill.
It's been going for a bit more than 10 years, and the history of it. And I'll go back a few years. When I worked 30 years in the state government, which caused me to go to all over the state. I flew with the police and did all sorts of very interesting things. And I got a call one day from a lady who was the manager or CEO of a retirement village. And I said, well, it's not really in our area, but I'm going down somewhere and I'll be passing it. So I could call in just as a matter of courtesy, nothing binding, no liabilities, etc., etc. So I did that, and she showed me this setup they had, this wonderful big enclosed pool with heated pool with a sign on the wall that said no skinny dipping before 10 p.m. For all the elderly people. As time passed, and she showed me where the sewing room was and the knitting room and the little cooking kitchen they had and the library, and I said, well, what do the men do? And she said, we have a men's shed, which I'd never heard of that concept before, but I just filed it away. Anyway, time passed and we moved to Mannum. We left the metropolitan area, came up here for lunch one day and bought a house. So the kids, our 2 boys, we had 2 boys at that time. One passed away in February, which, well, we'll never get over. But anyway, they'd left. Not only did they go, all their mates from the football club, school, there was no one in the swimming pool, no one in the pool room. So we sold this big house and bought a house up here. And in a casual conversation, when I got involved in some community work up here, I said to someone, Mannum needs a men's shed. And next thing I knew, I was told we have a grant for a men's shed and you're going to build it. And that's how it happened. So thank you very much. So I organised a few blokes, spoke to council, we made changes and improvements and sought extra money for tools, etc. and we physically built the shed ourselves. We
done.
didn't have money to employ anyone to do it. So we dug holes, we used jackhammers, and the number of big stones not far below the ground in Mannum, they're countless. But being old blokes, and having been around for a while, we gave them all names. They were all from the same family. Bugger, big bugger, rotten bugger, mongrel, bloody bugger. And we tried to dig all these stones out, but we did it. We got there. It took us about 6 or 9 months, I can't remember, doing things we shouldn't do with our age, climbing on roofs and screwing pieces of tin down, making sure we did it on a day that our wives weren't going to the shops because they would see us. And we eventually got there, and it progressed from there. And the great thing was, during construction, I canvassed the town for possible donations. We could clean out sheds, to get tools and equipment. And we were inundated with things because people want to be involved in these things. I had, during building, I had ladies stop me in the supermarket and say, when are you going to finish this bloody men's shed? I want him out the house. He said all he does is sit with the remote control on his tummy all day. And I thought, oh, yeah, good. And it worked. We got people who were actually forced to go by their wives, and it was great. Yeah, it was a great bunch of blokes in the early days. There was lots of camaraderie. We were all about the same age, and I was a blow-in. I was new in town. It was good for me because I met a lot of people that I may not have met otherwise, So we did that, and that was good. And we worked and we did other things. We insulated roof and walls. We lined the walls. We managed to get hold of some big sheets of MDF, and it was a cabinet maker. They get these sheets delivered, and these are cover sheets to protect them. They wanted to get rid of them, so we gladly obliged and took them all and did that. The shed, now it's all set up. I've had a new kitchen put in. I say it's not it's we. We've had a new kitchen put in, and I did a big, having worked for the government, a big government-type submission going to the government. And a few days before, about 3 weeks after I made the submission, the minister visited us on another matter. She had 2 young personal assistants with her. And these young girls were in awe, never been in a shed full of bloody old men before. So the minister called in unannounced. So that I must make that point. So while I'm talking to the minister, I'm saying, would you like a gift, minister? The blokes here have turned these things up and made these things for you. Not for you, minister, but generally, and we sell them and give them away. Rave on like I can do. So I gave her whatever she wanted off the shelf. And I said to the 2 young girls, what about you 2? Would you like a bowl or something like that? A little wooden bowl as a memento of your visit. And they were very impressed. But me being me, I did say, have you seen we've made a submission for a new kitchen to replace this old hand-me-down thing, which has got trip points and dangerous things. We're lifting things up high and, things old men shouldn't do. And they said, we've seen it, but we haven't read it. So I went on as I would. And I thought, this is your lucky day because I have a spare copy and you can read it on the way back to the office. And 2 weeks later, we got a congratulations. Your grant has been successful.
Oh, hey, Bill, let me tell you, it's so good to hear that story because it's just a wonderful success story, basically
it is.
From nothing. Yeah. And it's just fantastic. Now, at Mannum, you're on the Murray River.
Yes,
yes. Just for the people at home, you're just over an hour from Adelaide.
We're 80 kilometres due east of Adelaide. You can get here via the freeway or a nice scenic route through the hills.
Right. Now, the paddle steamers, are the paddle steamers still there, or is that a story from yesterday?
No. We have 2 paddle steamers which, how can I put it, work out of Mannum. They do cruises. They do environmental cruises, history cruises. One is a 5-day cruise, Monday to Friday. Another one is, I think, a 3 or 4 day cruise. And this is their home port because they get service here. All the, food and requirements all delivered here to Mannum. They pull in, the wharf is close. And plus, we also have a historic paddle boat, the Mayflower, which council is owned by a winery, and they gave it to council in inverted commas, provided council will spend the money and refurbish it. So that's good, and they did that. And the men's shed got involved in some of the aspects of that. We had to build a new rudder for it, and various other little things, and that was good. We felt, we're making our mark in the town, and it's historic. And we can, when we've all gone, the boat will still be there.
Where does the boat go to, or the paddle steamers? Where do
they go upstream? I think they go, I could say they probably go about 50 kilometres upstream, but that might be 80 kilometres by river, if you can understand the river winding around. And the big boat, the expensive one, let me put it that way, they do side boat tours. They'll take you out in a little dinghy and take you to places that the big boat can't get to. And they'll visit Aboriginal burial sites. They will show you, believe it or not, it's a long way from the ocean. They'll show you a whalebone embedded in the cliffs. That's right. Now that is going back a long way for that event to have occurred. But where I live, we can dig in the garden and we can go down the main street, have a look at the cliffs down there, and we can dig up seashells.
It's incredible, isn't it? It really
is.
On a historic area.
Yeah, it is. It has a lot of history. It has prehistoric history with the fossils I've just told you about. Plus, it has a history. The first paddle wheeler, was built here in Mannum by a bloke called William Randall, and that's the start of the riverboat trade on the River Murray. Goes all the way up.
That wouldn't be the same Randall. I mean, Randall's a famous name in yacht building too.
Well, it could be. I don't know.
Okay.
There's different spellings. One of them was born in Devon and one was born somewhere else. I don't know, obviously somewhere else. But I don't know the history of the family.
Just for our shedders, what else can they... I mean, that's great. I'm really enthralled by listening to those historical things like the whalebone and Aboriginal burial sites, etc. Yeah. But what else can they check on around Mannum?
Well, here in Mannum, we have obviously all tied up with the river. We have a museum, it's an interactive museum with photos of flood events and all sorts of things. There's also within the museum a simulated opportunity to drive a paddle wheeler. Have a big steering wheel, a screen, and you can whip it around and you'll see it moving. You can avoid snags and stumps and all sorts of things, or you can crash into them. Those sorts of things. They have a lot of memorabilia from the river history, and of course the floods. There are floods here. 1956 was a big one, I think. We had a flood a few years ago, which wasn't as big, but was a bit of a bloody nuisance. But that's the way it is. And interesting photos in the museum is showing people rowing up to the pub and buying beer off the balcony. That's how deep the river was. The pub. Yeah. We have two pubs here. What we call the bottom pub, the Mannum pub, on the lowest part of town, and the Pretoria. And above that is the club, the Mannum Club, which was formed just before the First World War. And there's a lot of German names here and Lutherans, and they had to change the name of the club and all sorts of things because of the First World. Yeah,
you just answered my next question. I was going to ask you about the name Pretoria, but as soon as you mentioned Lutherans and Germans, it's all making sense.
Well, does it? But never mind.
Yes, it does, because
it does.
The capital of South Africa is Pretoria, and of course that was populated by Germans and Dutch people back in the day.
Yeah. So there's a history everywhere if you want to find out about it. We have a history group here. We have an institute that was built about 100 years ago, and it's just been done up. Council have purchased it, and their hope is it used to be the old picture theatre and dance hall and all sorts of multiple use things, and they want to bring it back up to that. It'll never be a dance hall or a picture theatre again, because none of us seem to do that anymore. But it's there because we got all the traditional things. We have lions, we have a bowling club. The community club is very, very good in town. All the money goes back to the community. They have a list of the people and groups and clubs that they sponsor, and it's quite comprehensive. And just as an aside, I got involved in cooking a men's breakfast years and years ago, seemingly. I used to buy the meat, organise it, canvas, tell people when it's on. It was for men. The idea was to get elderly men out of bed on one day a month, come and have a breakfast and talk to others. Compare your tablets and medicines and bloody aches and pains, and find out you're not the only one with a sore shoulder or a sore knee or whatever.
Yeah.
And they compare tablets and, what are the green for? I know, this is it. It was like a kid. It was like kids at these drug parties. What are they? And these are for my knee. And it's old men without too many inhibitions and say, shit, I've got to get some of them because I got a sore knee. Go and see the doctor. And it was an encouraging thing to get them up to the doctor to have a checkup. And this is what the whole men's shed is all about, men's health, isn't it?
It's fabulous. It sounds like it's definitely a sort of place where, our shedders, if they're ever in South Australia, should make the trip for sure. Now, how's the fishing there, Bill?
Well, the fishing is, I'm not a fisherman, I'm a sea fisherman. But
I understand totally.
Yeah. Look, there's no shortage of fish. If you like carp, and I say that tongue-in-cheek, they'll be there. Believe it or not, the old story, you'll catch a fish on a bloody safety pin. Well, I swear I saw that one night with a young woman sitting under a tree and dropping a line in, not a rod, with some basic bloody hook, no bait, and was pulling up carp.
Wow.
Because the laws here, I don't know what it is in Victoria or New South Wales, you cannot return a carp to the river.
That's the same everywhere, yeah, Bill?
Yeah, there's a good rule. The other thing here you may not be aware of, we don't have a fishing permit system in this state.
Oh.
Fishing is free. Yeah, you can catch fish. Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. But I know
I've got to say, this has been the most informative, and after listening to that lot, I reckon it's a definite must for anybody travelling this country.
Oh, absolutely.
Have yourself a wonderful time there at the Mannum Men's Shed.
Okay. Stay well, mate. That's all I can say to you.
Good on you,
cover your kids. Okay. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, John.
Now, if there's something unique about your town or shed you'd like to tell me about, send us an email to theshedwireless@menshed.net and let's arrange a little chat. We acknowledge the Naralti people who lived in the Whirlies alongside the river peoples as traditional owners of the land where Mannum is located. There are many explanations of the name Mannum, but the one favoured by the local Aboriginal community is the place of many ducks. On Nailed It, Rip Woodchip is talking about a different kind of building. G'day, Rip.
G'day, Shedders, Rip Woodchip here, retired tool sharpener, full-time chinwag specialist and unofficial mayor of the Biscuit Tin. How you all going today? Now, I've been thinking, there's two kinds of building that happen in a men's shed. There's the obvious stuff, birdhouses, benches, ramps, planter boxes, the things we knock together out of bits of pine and old fence pickets, held together by screws, and let's be honest, a good dash of she'll be right. But then, there's the other kind of building, the quiet one, the important kind, building the community. And it doesn't need a blueprint. It happens when you pour someone a cuppa before they ask for it. When you notice old Jeff hasn't shown up in a while and you give him a ring. It's when you show a new bloke how to use the lathe without making him feel like a dill. And it's definitely when you sit on the back step and solve the world's problems over a cuppa, a Scotch finger biscuit and a laugh. See, in the shed, we come from all different backgrounds. Some blokes were sparkies, others ran farms. Some were on the tools, others behind desks. Doesn't matter. Once you put on the flanny and you walk through that door, well, you're part of the tribe. And don't underestimate it either. This stuff matters, more than most of us let on. Loneliness doesn't always wear a sad face. Sometimes it just looks like someone who hasn't had a yarn in a while. That's where the shed shines. We don't just build stuff, we rebuild blokes. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a project, but I reckon our best work happens when we stop looking at what we can make and start noticing what we can mend. Friendships, confidence, and a sense of purpose. So, if you're listening today, maybe take a moment this week to build a bit of community. Slide up next to someone who looks a bit quiet. Ask them what they've been doing. Ask them what they've been working on. Invite them for a sausage roll. Offer to lend a hand, not just with a project, but with life. Because at the end of the day, we're all held together by more than glue and screws. We're held together by each other. Oh, I think I got a tear in my eye. All right, that's enough out of me. I've got 3 half-finished projects, a cold tea, and someone's nicked me Phillips head again. Catch you next time, fellas. Keep up the building. See ya.
Well, hope you've enjoyed our special Men's Shed Week episode. As always, drop me an email to theshedwireless@mensshed.net if you know a shed or a shedder you reckon we should have a chat to or a topic we should yarn about. Very interesting stuff in today's show. The Shed Wireless is produced by the Australian Men's Shed Association. It's made in Australia and distributed all over the world for the love of shedding.
Don't matter if you work with wood or fabricating metal is the thing you understood. Whatever is your game, everyone's the same. Yeah, we can do it all at the Men's Shed. Short, fat, tall, skinny, hairy, bald. In the shed, it's welcome one and all. Share the skills you know. We're all having a go.